Hello, mis amores. We're back where we belong.
In the kitchen.
Walk in the kitchen, my heart hits the floor.
We're back with something that we can probably do better than things that we have tried over the course of the last couple of weeks, which I will get back to eventually. But for now, we're back in the kitchen. And I'm really excited for this video because it's gonna be a little bit different.
No one has made this dramatic of a change yet.
I thought of recreating popular chocolate bars. For obvious reasons, we don't buy them at the moment, or probably ever again. So for those of you who miss these bars or just want a version that you definitely know where all of the ingredients come from. I mean, obviously you still have to buy ingredients and you don't really know where they come from, but making it yourself still feels a little bit more like you know what's in there. Actually, like, I'm trying to sell you these things, but I don't know how they'll turn out. It's just more so a challenge for me. I have 3 on my agenda, which I felt really confident about yesterday, but today I'm thinking maybe 2 will be enough, and then we can save that last one for the next video in which we make something similar, or maybe it'll become a series. Heavily inspired by Claire Saffitz, actually, dessert person. She used to have this series on Bon Appetit a couple of years ago, before the Bon Appetit scandal, called Gourmet Makes, in which she made a gourmet version of something that you can buy at the store. She actually brought that series back now on her own channel, which I was really happy to see, but also inspired me to make this version. My version will obviously be even more of a home cook version because she's a professional baker. Surprise, surprise, I'm not a professional baker. Then again, I cook and bake a lot on this channel and I make money from it. So maybe I am a professional. I'm just trying to achieve something resembling these bars and will hopefully be happy with the result. I think my aim is to give these bars to a stranger, which is something that I won't do because then I'd have to talk to a stranger. And then that stranger would tell me, oh my god, is this a whatever it is that I have just made. We're gonna start with Twix. By now it's probably been years since I've last had a Twix, but in theory they should be fairly simple as for a bar. There's not a lot to it technically. We have this probably shortbread base that is then topped with caramel and covered in chocolate. Basically, we only have 3 components that make up the Twix. I'm loosely gonna follow a recipe that aims to make a vegan Twix, but I'm not gonna make it vegan, and I think I'm only gonna follow the caramel part. Let's make a quick shortbread. The list of ingredients is very short. It's not a long bread after all. 80 grams of butter, that should be room temp. 28 grams of powdered sugar. 1 tablespoon of brown sugar and a pinch of salt, 100 grams of all-purpose flour, and half a tablespoon of starch. And lastly, some vanilla. We're gonna be using these dough hooks. We're just gonna start by placing our butter in a bowl and mixing it with the 2 types of sugar and the salt. That's probably really yummy, but don't eat it just yet. Now just add the vanilla and the flour and the starch. Very soft. Tastes great. I'm probably just gonna use this oven dish. I think it's just important that it's rectangular. But first, this dough will have to rest for an hour in the fridge. I definitely have enough dough to make a couple of Twixes. Now I just have to flatten them to the right size, to the right thickness. It's very soft. How do I flatten it? This is a little too thick still, right? Now take some saran wrap and place it right on top of the dough. The recipe says to let it rest in the fridge for an hour, but I made like quarter of the recipe, so maybe half an hour is enough. In the meantime, we can start with the caramel. For the second chocolate bar, I'm definitely gonna make caramel from scratch, but I told you guys that I'm loosely following this vegan Twix recipe. I'm debating whether or not I should follow that recipe or just make more of the caramel that I'm gonna do for the second bar. I'm trying to replicate it. I'm not really trying to make a vegan version of it. That's also why I made the normal shortbread. I'm just gonna make the normal caramel. I've never made caramel and I'm a bit nervous. So for those of you who don't know, caramel is basically burnt sugar, and the more burnt it is, the more bitter it becomes. We will also add a little bit of butter at some point, which is what it'll help it set, hopefully. is what I'm thinking. We're just figuring this out and hope that we're on the right track. If there are any actual professional bakers watching this, turn off. Actually, let it play, but leave. Want the views. We're just gonna use 100 grams of sugar. Honestly, it sounds so easy that I just... Anyway, you're gonna take a saucepan and off your 100 grams of sugar, you're just gonna pour as much sugar in there so that the bottom of your pot is covered. Maybe a little bit more? I don't know. Now medium heat. Wait for it to melt. Once it starts melting, we're gonna swivel the pot. I don't know, how do you say it? Oh, I was like, it sounds like something's melting. I totally didn't pay attention. It has melted. Maybe we do mix because it's not as liquid as I thought it was gonna be. Keep adding the rest of the sugar, but not too much because otherwise the already melted sugar will become too cold and then you'll get clumps. How long am I gonna be here if I only add this much? It's getting kind of dark already, so I feel like we gotta be a little bit quicker. I definitely should have added more sugar in the beginning. Oh, it looks very dark on camera. I'm gonna turn off the heat now. I really don't know, it might be burned. Anyway, let's add some butter. And Entschuldigung, why is that happening? Well, now we definitely have crystallization. No one told me to only add a little, but now it looks like caramel, more so than before. Honestly, guys, that looks like caramel. That tastes really good, but why is it crunchy? Do I have to add cream? Well, I just made hard candy. It might have just been because it got too hot. I can't stop eating that. Oh no, my spoon. We somehow need to bring the sugar to a boil. I think we need heavy cream in there. There has to be water in there as well. Water and sugar. And then take it off the heat once it has all dissolved. And then we add some heavy cream. Well, turns out I'm not a professional baker. I'm now confident again. I think we can do it. It's been so long, I think we can put this in the oven. 200 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. About 15 minutes. I've got half a cup of sugar, 3.5 tablespoons of water, and half a cup of double cream, to which I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract. You add the sugar to a pan, then add the water and mix it. And then wait for it to come to a boil. I think low temperature so it doesn't burn. Once it has all dissolved and has a nice color, probably, you're gonna take it off the heat and add the double cream. I'll just pretend that I don't see the sugar crystals. Can't be bothered to do this again. I don't think I should have added all of the cream now, seeing as though we've lost quite a bit of sugar. Now this is more of a caramel syrup. Honestly, I'm kind of getting over making caramel. So for the third bar, we actually don't need caramel, but we do need it for the second bar that I plan to make today. If like this doesn't work out, then I'll still use that for the Twix. Won't make the second bar for now, but save that for another video and make the third bar. I kind of hate caramel now. Guys, it tastes so good though. Oh my god, I never set a timer. I think you can tell I haven't been in the kitchen in a while. It's a little bit darker than I wanted it to be, but it's not burned, I don't think so. And that's all that matters to me. That's so good. That tastes really, really good. It does thicken, so we're good. Maybe my sauce is perfect. I think I'm gonna let this cool a little bit. I think I've also decided that I'm not gonna make the second bar because I need a little bit of success right now. I'm still gonna finish the Twix, but then still do even more research for the next video. Which, speaking of, let me know which other kind of bar you want me to make, and then I might make it. The caramel is still hot anyway, so I might as well pour the caramel on top now and let it cool all together. I do want to pour it over now. It's just gonna go down the sides as well, which is not really where I want it to go. Wow, that's a really great shortbread. You should make 4 Twix, right? Here goes nothing. You better work. Let's freeze them for an hour. So I think this video is gonna turn from making chocolate bars into trying to make chocolate bars. I don't have a lot of faith in the Twix anymore. I think we are gonna have some sort of bar in the end. We're not gonna make the second one because caramel I still have to figure out, and we're gonna figure that out in another video. Now we're gonna go for the bar that used to be my favorite, and I say used to be because I just don't really eat chocolate bars anymore. I mean now especially not, but for years I haven't really eaten chocolate bars. My favorite used to be Bounty. I don't think Bounty exists in the Americas anymore, at least according to my research, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's coconut flakes covered in chocolate. So I'm thinking in my mind, what can go wrong? We have coconut that we have to add something to it so that it becomes not crumbly, and then we cover that in chocolate. And I think our savior is gonna be sweetened condensed milk to act as the bond between the coconut flakes. And I think then I'm just gonna add some vanilla to it as well, and then we cover it in chocolate. Easy enough, right? I really love this shortbread. Here's what you need for my version. About 150 grams of coconut flakes, which I'm gonna mix with 150 grams of sweetened condensed milk, and about half a teaspoon of vanilla or more. Tastes like Bounty. A little chewier. I think this is a good consistency. Not too juicy, not too dry. I'm just now gonna, I think, wet my hands a little bit so that it doesn't stick too much. And just take a little bit of it and make a bounty to live a bountiful life. And all the love. That looks fine. Oh, the first one got a little too thicky, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Now, I wonder if I can smooth them out a little bit with some water. I think it works, but I also think it's kind of unnecessary. Honestly. Time to melt some chocolate. The typical Bounty obviously uses milk chocolate, which might be a little too sweet for me, considering that this is also very sweet and Bounties are very sweet. So I'm thinking of using 1 block of milk chocolate and then 1 block of dark chocolate. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit of butter to the melted chocolate, and then we're just gonna dip it in. Yeah. Why is my chocolate not melting? It melted, but it doesn't really liquefy properly. That's the easiest step. Why is it? I can scrape it on. I'm over it. Nope. We're just gonna work with this chocolate now. You know, the layer of chocolate is just gonna be a little thicker, I think. Please don't die on me. Well, that chocolate is definitely not tempered. So usually that's really easy because your chocolate will be very liquid. And that's apparently your Vinsainto. All of a sudden you can't even do the easiest step. A step that you've also already done a million times. Step that I'm also gonna have to repeat for the Twix. Maybe I'm just gonna melt it in the microwave now. We're gonna leave these pretty ones to dry now. In other news, the caramel has set in a way that I would want it to set. This is a great consistency. Look at you. The color of the caramel is very Twix. Now we have to be careful when cutting these, because I don't want them to snap, which is kind of what they're doing. So how am I supposed to cover them in chocolate? My plan is to now just cover them in chocolate, hoping that my chocolate will somehow be liquid enough. I melted some extra chocolate in the microwave. Now good luck to us. I'm a little bit afraid. So I've built this construction in order to pick up this. So all of the other ones are broken. Plan B it is. I'm sure that's what it looks like in a factory as well. We're now just gonna leave these beauties to dry and I'll be back. I don't even really want to look at them anymore. I think I can fix them. I can fix them. Let me get rid of all of the excess stuff and then, yeah. They already look a lot better, right? This is probably the best Twix. Yeah, the Bounty, it does look like a lion. I don't know if you have lion elsewhere. Also, the chocolate is not fully set. I will say I only had them in the fridge for an hour. Maybe tomorrow the chocolate will have hardened completely. We're just gonna try. I think we're gonna go with the Twix first because I don't have a lot of faith in this. Technically, if the chocolate had set, then this is okay. I definitely had to dip them because the ones that I didn't dip, they had a caramel bottom. I don't think we'll have a crunch at all. Let's see. You know what? If it wasn't for the chocolate, which I now had to melt with a little bit of coconut oil, I feel like this could have been good taste-wise. For a second, you really do think it's Twix. Maybe not even a second. Just a millisecond. I mean, this tastes really good. My caramel does taste really good. It's just like not really set. I really, really love this shortbread, even though it's a little bit soggy. It's really good with the dark chocolate though. Making them wasn't very nice because I struggled, and struggles aren't nice. They don't look great. The experience of eating them also isn't the greatest, but they taste good. Maybe it'll be different with the Bounties. The experience still isn't great, but making them was really easy. I mean, except for the chocolate part, but I still don't know what went wrong. Cheers. This is even sweeter than a Bounty, but it is a Bounty. I hope these set eventually because they taste really good. Who would have thought that making Bounty could be so easy? In theory, I can see why I used to like them. But oh god. After all of this chocolate, I'm really looking forward to eating something fresh. Definitely a learning experience. Gotta figure out the caramel properly. Also gotta figure out how to melt chocolate. The fact that it went wrong once was like already embarrassing and I was like, why? But then a second time? I didn't even show you the second time. I'm just flabbergasted. I love that word. All in all, I still really like the idea of this and I enjoyed making this in theory. Thinking of the components and how to make them and then putting that all together is really nice. So if you also think I need a redemption, let me know. Thanks so much for joining me on this ride as per usual, and I hope you enjoyed to see me struggle. Hopefully you won't have to see me struggle in next week's video. Thanks so much for watching this video. Entonces nos vemos la próxima vez. Bye.